Khalid Mahmood, welcome. You were born in Kashmir.
Yeah.
How old were you when you came to England, and why did you come?
I came to join my father, who came in 1948, and his father and uncles before him in sort of pre-1940, around about 41, 42, because all of them were in the Merchant Navy, and my great-grandfather was also in the British Merchant Navy. So both in the First World and Second World Wars they served. They were taken off at Newcastle to work in the steel industry predominantly because there was a shortage of labour, and we still got half of our family up in Middlesbrough and half down in Birmingham.
So what decade were you at school? Was it a time when there was racism? Where did you go to school?
1971 in Birmingham. I started off at Conway School. I literally went in there for just a year because of the age I was at. I came almost 10 years old, and then went on to Golden Hillocks School, which was my secondary school. And it was very difficult not being able to speak English properly. And really the primary school was just a blur, because it was difficult to try and get into the conversation of most of people. And these were no normal community schools, so I didn't go. At that time, there were special English schools which people were sent to, but those being phased out, and we had to go to normal school, which is quite good. It allowed us to integrate much quicker into the thing. And secondary schools, we had something called special English classes. A gentleman, a teacher called Eric Payne, was a teacher who'd served in India, so understood some of the languages, and so it was quite good to have a conversation with him. But we got through that fairly quickly.
You were an engineer.
Yes.
Tell me about being an engineer, and whether was it quite a diverse workforce when you were an engineer?
Well, it predominantly actually BME workforce in Birmingham, Delta Metals, Delta Tubes, where I worked. I was one of the few people who actually got an engineering apprenticeship in there that were from the BME community, and I really enjoyed it because it was a millwright, which is essentially nowadays a maintenance engineer. So I had a full apprenticeship doing that, and so you literally had the full run of the factory.
You were elected to Parliament in 2001, the first Muslim MP from England to be elected to Parliament. What did that mean to you?
It was a huge privilege. I think first Muslim MP getting through. I had a very long selection process. But really, what was really important about that is the amount of people that supported me was fantastic, both right from the local level to the national level. I'd worked within the Labour Party. I attended a lot of party conferences. John Speller, somebody who's still with us. Sir Richard Knowles, the leader of the Birmingham City Council. Bill Thomas, who's unfortunately no longer here, leader of Sandwell Council. Tom Watson was a great friend, and we still remain friends. And so there's a lot of people, Sean Simon, that we got in contact with. And so a lot of people that were there, we integrated. And I think that one of the key things is, in the early 80s, we were there fighting against militant tendency. And so I was part of that. So that really integrated me into the Labour Party. And it was absolutely fantastic, enjoying that support and enjoying that camaraderie that we had.
Why was it important to you to fight against militants?
I think what we wanted to do was get our communities served. I think what I wanted to do was look at all of our people in Birmingham and what sort of service they were going to get. Any extreme was going to harm that. And certainly I think that's what it did. We had the National Front in Birmingham before that in the 70s, and we know what damage that did. And anything to the extreme left would have done similar damage. And that's why my politics has always been in the middle, is that I believe strongly in the Labour Party. I think the Labour Party serves all of us together. And that's where we want to be, in the middle, serving us all together and ensuring that we all grow together as well.
You listed your friends in politics, and one of those friends that you mentioned was the former Labour MP Sean Simon. Now there's friendship and there's friendship. You underwent a kidney transplant in 2014. You received an organ from your parliamentary colleague Sean Simon. How do you repay that?
Well, you can't. It's a phenomenal debt. To somebody. He literally forced it. We used to meet quite regularly. He was then a member of European Parliament. So we'd meet and have lunch or dinner every 10 days or so. And my kidneys obviously failed, and we were looking at what was going on and how we were going to deal with it. And he kept asking me what was going on. There was 2 other people we'd put in for transplant, but they weren't approved by the medical team. And he says, right, this is enough. Tell me who they are, who the doctor is, and I want to do it. And he just got married to Keris at the time. And I said, look, you've got a new family coming up. You need to ask them. And he said, no, just tell me who they are, and I'll get the rest done. So we met again, and I hadn't spoken to my consultants. He said, okay, give me the number, and I'll ring the consultant myself. And also, people say about politicians, he didn't want to capitalize on that for his election campaign. We kept it quiet for more than 3 years that he donated. And it was only then when the party at the party conference started to look at the organ donorship is something that's positive and we should do that. But he never wanted to capitalize politically from that, and that's how great he is.
On the 13th of April 2021, you resign from the front bench. I just want to quote back at you some of the words that you said. They're very powerful. You said the Labour Party had been taken over by a London-based bourgeoisie with the support of brigades of woke social media warriors. You said that the party had moved away from working class people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When we got people who can't work from home, who can't work in front of a computer, who have to get up in the morning, whether it's sunshine or rain or freezing snow or whatever it is, they have to get up, they have to change into some clothes and go out, either catch a bus. Most of them have to catch a bus, by the way, and some of them in cars which might be polluting. Some of them just being able to get to wherever they need to get to. They get there, they do a shift, and they have to come back home again. And I think those are the people that are natural people for the Labour Party. The Labour Party, as you know better than I do, grew up in the trade union movement, representing those people who needed a better work condition and a fair pay for a fair day's work. That wasn't, that's not what we looked at. We moved away from that. And that meant people like me, who are now in the workplace today, are not our natural voters. So that's hugely, I think, difficult for us. And the reason why we lose the red wall is we look at professional engineers, professional skilled trained people who should be naturally our people. And we've shunned away from them. And we do that through hugely London-centric bourgeoisie, which does look at that, people idealistic in the identity politics, and all those sort of things. Whilst it might be important to people in that respect, but the key issue is about how do we get on, how we support the most needy people, how do we support a family, perhaps with one mother who's trying to go to work and look after their children and to deal with that. How do you work with somebody who's got an ill parent, yet they've still got to go to work and do that? Those are the people that we should be supporting, because those are the Labour people. Those are people we should have.
Do you think enough is being done to win them back?
Well, certainly now I think Keir, I think he came to Birmingham and he gave a speech only a fortnight ago. I think he has managed to push the party into the right direction, and therefore I'm supporting him. There's still a lot more to do. I think under John Healey, in my last job as the shadow Defence Minister for Procurement, there's a lot more that needs to be done in industry. The government is still, whilst we got rid of Brexit, whilst we got rid of everything they wanted, still want to give contracts abroad to their mates rather than to British industry. So what we've got to do now still is hold the government to account and have more engineering, manufacturing jobs in the UK, because that's what will make us stronger. As Germany's at the moment, they rely hugely on engineering and manufacturing. If we're to get there, then we need to be stronger in engineering and manufacturing.
So since you're not on the front bench now, what are you dedicating your time to in politics?
Well, I started off when I came in 2001. We had a huge sort of change to the whole of our lives with 9/11. I was locked into a tribunal at the time. I was supporting giving a statement to somebody, so we locked off from everything. Came at 5 o'clock and found out that this had happened in New York. And it was absolutely unbelievable. You just couldn't think how that could have happened, how could that occurred, and how people were able to fly planes into towers without regard for their own life, but people that they had on those planes as well, and somehow they'd been radicalized. And to me, it was my religion that was being used. It was Islam that was being used for this objective, whatever issue they had. And that's not the religion I've been brought up in. That is a religion of peace and submission, of supporting people, of understanding issues, and to dealing with that. So I found it very difficult to comprehend. So from that day onwards, I made one of my very first speeches on that debate in the House, and I wanted to move forward to say, this is not my Islam. This is not what I've been grown up with. This is not my father's taught me. This is not what we believe. We believe in working together with the communities and ensuring that we cannot do harm to any innocent person as an individual. Yet these people have no regard for so much of the lives that were taken.
How do you stop them being radicalized?
Well, I think what we've got to do still, and the reason why I left the front bench is even now, almost 20 years later, we've still got people radicalizing. We've got people who come into Parliament, who want to take young people away from the mainstream media, perhaps won't be listening to our program here, and would want them to listen to things that they put up on their social media platforms and other platforms that they have. So they're trying to nurture young people away from that. And therefore you get greater radicalization happening in those people. We got a number of issues from that. I pose the current issues on Islamophobia that people are raising. The reason why that is that it's giving a victim mentality to our young people. That if anything happens, you put it on social media, somebody says something to you on social media, put it up there. We've got to have the resilience within us as Muslims. We're going to be proud of the fact that we are Muslims. So we know less than anybody else. So we should not be in a victim mentality. But some of these people are trying to put young people into a victim mentality. That is dangerous for the community as a whole as well, because those people will have huge issues as they grow up into their own ability to do work and ability to have a normal life. So I really need to get them away from that. You know, we have Islamophobia Awareness Month. Why don't we have Islam Month, demonstrating all the good things that Muslims do, all the good things that Muslim people have done even till now. There's a heart of a pig being transplanted in the US by a Muslim guy. So, you know, there's huge achievements.
It's really interesting. So you don't like that phrase. You'd either celebrate Islam than fear Islamophobia, as it were.
That's right. But Islamophobia doesn't mean anything to anybody. So if you know, they say that when Boris mentioned the issue of the letterboxes, which is a silly thing to do, and absolutely, for somebody who is now Prime Minister, it's totally intolerable to do that. But people will say, well, the social media posts went up by 700%. What did we achieve out of that? Nothing. Nothing was achieved. So shouldn't we rather looking at resilience within our young people, ensuring that they can stand that and move forward, support them in that, but be an integral part of the community, as I've done, coming here at the age of 10, working with people. You know, I worked on the shop floor. People have a very rough language, if I can put it that way, to be kind, and say different things. But it wasn't about my religion. It may be that they think I'm a silly person, therefore they can say those sort of things. But it's not. I never took it as a religious issue. It was different people would say different things to different people.
Gosh, I could explore this for so much longer, but we're out of time. Khalid Mahmood, thank you very much indeed for being open, honest, interesting and thought-provoking. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.